Hello, everybody, and welcome to UniVerse Touch. In this show, we are redefining the narrative for the future. So, the narrative until now has been so separated. You're either spiritual and you're broke, or you're wealthy and you're kind of an asshole, or you care for the world, but your life is not necessarily the best, or you create an amazing life, but you don't really care for the world. It's time to change this narrative. And this show is created exactly for that. Here, you can be both spiritual and wealthy. You can care for the world and you can have an extraordinary life all at the same time. And this is the human of the future. So let's go. This is the second episode of our show. In the very first one last week, I guided you through the very first steps of the initial initiation. And today we will get to go deeper. Just to rewind a little bit and give you a sense of the first one. Every time you're having an initiation, it will be the same stages that you're going through. That's why I'm guiding you in all of them. You're getting examples from the first ones that I personally experienced, mostly because the first ones, they tend to be very identified and very clear to remember and to bring forth as an example of what you might have gone through, might be going through, or you might be seeing others going through. I very much believe that my life is literally giving me a template of as many human experiences as possible so I can pass them on to you. And we can, like that, go faster and accelerate together into the evolution of creating the new narrative of how to actually be in touch with the universe. So, universe touch, allow yourself for this hour, might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more, to be touched by the universe, to believe in magic, to open yourself into the metaphysical, to allow yourself to remember that not everything is linear. And actually, the most incredible things happen in the most unexpected of the ways. Allow yourself to remember your journey. See the similarities with mine. See the differences. And see what is the common thread between the human experience. Because that's where we want to get to. No matter if it is my story or your story, there's an archetypal essence in every story of initiation that connects us all. And when this thread is established, and the more of us realize this connection and this thread, the faster we will go into the stage of being exponential as human beings. I will let that to be the end of our session, of our episode, of what does it actually really mean when we go exponential. And I'll take you through the second stage of initiation, the one that I like to call cave time. You might have heard it in a different name. They usually call it the dark night of the soul. And while this name does resemble a lot to the experience that you will be having, or you had, or you'll be having in the future again, there is an aspect of these words that somehow I feel they're not encapsulating what is really happening, and they're giving a dark, unwanted character to one of the most transformative and important states of the whole journey. So let's go. In the first stage that we described in the first episode, the last one, if you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. It's really powerful. In the first one, you get the very first initial awakening. It is the moment you open up to energy, you realize there's so many things in the invisible world that you had no idea about. You start getting more sensitive about energies. You might start hearing or seeing, or you experience a whole different layer of reality. And it very much feels like a glorious time. It really feels like you're entering a gate and the universe is welcoming you with rainbows and flowers, and it's like a ta 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 ta, and now you have seen the truth. And it's very important to get this sense in the first stage because the second one is a little bit different. So the second stage that I like to call cave time, it is when you go back from this glorious awakening and you start realizing how many things in your life have nothing to do with your original essence. It is a stage that can be quite tough. Many of us are literally spiritual babies before that stage. We've never learned who we are, what we're doing here, how to manage our energies, how to connect with others. Like, there's so many things, no matter our age, that we haven't learned in the spiritual realm. So you might be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 plus when you get into this stage. That doesn't really matter. If you're going for the first time, it's very possible that you will have quite a few things to release. What are those things? In any given moment, we are who we are, connected to a family, a lineage, a culture, a country, a circle of friends, a profession, and the cycles go on. So we have a lot of layers that are informing us about how reality is supposed to be, it is, or what is best for us, or what is best for us to do so they are happy with us. And all of these things become attached identities, become values, become things that we think that we want to do, become who we think we are, and they have very little to do with us. So during the stage of the cave time, you're called to go inwards. It literally feels as if you're in a house and you close all the windows, you just roll down the roll ones, I don't know how they're called. You completely shut down the light from the outside, the noise from the outside, any external reference, and you just start looking inward. For a very big part of our human population, that happened during COVID. Many of us were stuck inside an apartment or a house or a place without being able to move, without being able to see others, and we were literally forced to look inwards. So during the time of COVID, I very strongly believe that humanity was undergoing a global cave time. And I was ecstatic about it because I knew that this is stage number 2 and it's so necessary. And also, it is quite tricky for us to choose to do it. Anybody who will just like avoid it because it's a little bit unpleasant, but it's so important. So when I saw the entire humanity, or the majority of it, going into an extended cave time, I was like, oh my God, we are just about to experience a global awakening. And I would have never imagined that it will happen like that. Many people thought it was different. But now we're seeing what happened that period of time. And you can really see how many people got awakened during this time. Back to the actual stage. So you have you have decided to go and look inwards, or actually you're drawn to look inwards. So you close down your raw ones, separate yourself from everything external, and start checking what's happening here inside. The image that I really like to think about is as if you sit down on the floor and you start picking up all your labels and using them in front of you. And by labels, I mean who you are, where are you from, are you a man or a woman, what is your profession, what is your role in the family. So I'll give you an example. That was my identity back then. I was an architect, I was a daughter, I was a sister, I was Greek, I was a traveler, I was living before in Brazil, now in Switzerland. And these were my main labels. I loved to party. That was another label. I was a party animal. Just place them all down. And I really had to start considering, like, am I still Greek? Or just because I was born Greek, do I need to continue having this label? Am I really feeling Greek? Just giving you an example. Am I an architect? And actually, I believe that one of the times I actually really dropped this title was during this period. Am I still an architect? Do I feel like an architect? Was that ever my dream? Like, is that a label that is me? Or it just happened in my life and I picked it up and I'm carrying it forward just because it happened? Am I a woman? Well, I am in the body, but do I feel like one? Do I want to be a woman? What kind of woman do I want to be? And do I want to have, what kind of sexual orientation do I want to have? All of these, even though we think that they are de facto, that they're established, they cannot change, they actually can. And many times before this cave time, we never take the time to actually realize if we want them to be there, if they are who we are or not. So in this time, you just sit down, you take your time, you put all your labels down, and you say, okay, let's go. Many, many, many of the labels either change or they're completely released. So please don't be afraid if during this period of time you feel that you're losing yourself, you feel that you don't know who you are, you feel that the reality around you is crumbling, businesses might fall apart, partnerships might fall apart. It's normal. You're not going crazy, you're not going insane. It is just a stage and it will change. Trust me. I really, really wished I had somebody to tell me what I'm telling you now back then. I really thought I'm going crazy. I really thought I'm losing my mind. I really thought that I'm never going to get out of it. I really thought that that's it. Because nobody around me, and that's a very common characteristic of this period, nobody around you will know what to tell you. They will be worried, they will not understand unless they have undergone the same process, they have had their own awakening. But if they haven't, which is the case for many of us, you will have a great difficulty to relate to any of them because they will literally not understand what's happening. And you might not even have the words to fully explain to them what is actually happening. But don't worry. It is part of it. You're supposed to be closed down. I call it a cave time because you're supposed to just go back and stay with yourself, hidden inside your cave. That's why it's called cave time. So allow yourself to drop all of these layers. Allow yourself to let go everything that is not who you are. Because that's the best way you can actually take off the layers that are not you and become who you're supposed to be. So this stage is literally the deepest transformation. Before was just preview. After is the application in the real world. But their actual transformation happens during cave time. And cave time is calling you to go into a deeper unification with who you are. So allow all the aspects that are not you to go away and pick up all the ones that are you and you have never really allowed yourself to explore and bring them to the world. What really helps during this time is to look inwards for the true identities, for things and aspects of you that have always been there. And sometimes it's very difficult for us to actually see them because they're so close to our eyes that we actually cannot. Sometimes it helps to go back into your story and say, okay, what is something I have always liked? What is something that has always been me? What has always felt right? Or even ask people from your environment, how do you see me? What aspects of me do you see? Because many, many times we see very different aspects. And once you have started picking up these new threads, that oftentimes will feel way less specific than the ones you have put down. So if you're putting down the architect one, you might not be ready to fully pick up the new one yet. It's okay. Hold it. Stay in the in between. You don't need to pick up something else because you're establishing a different route that will hold you. That doesn't need to be from an external grab. So allow yourself to just stay in the unknown and allow the new you to emerge, because otherwise you will go and grab just from something else from the outside. And there's no point. You'll just go back all the way in the initial step. So just know that this is a time that you are supposed to release everything that is not you, and it's okay. You're not going crazy. It is gonna pass, and it is gonna happen again. So that's the second aspect. Many times the very first awakening is the strongest one or the one that we didn't remember the most. But usually it is just the first. We tend to have a lot of awakenings in our lifetime after the first one. Many times we might even have some mini awakenings 2 or 3 times a day. Oftentimes something that somebody said will be an awakening, that somebody did, a sign, anything could become an awakening after that. And usually you always go into the same wave, not with the same intensity like the first one, but this cave time is not the last time you're experiencing it. It's just the first awakening. They all have similarities. In all of them, it is recommended that you actually take time for yourself, that you separate from your environments, especially if they're very influential to you, that you actually allow yourself to go through this process and stay still no matter what is crumbling around you. Things will crumble. Let them burn. You don't want to keep going with those. So let them go. Because after comes the third stage, where actually your calling starts calling you. And usually the deepest you have gone into the second stage, the more precise and beautiful and effortless will be the third stage. You can't rush it though. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to go into that, I'm going to go fast and deep, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to have the glorious time. It doesn't really work like that. I highly recommend that you don't play these sneaky games with spirit because you're going to be slapped on the face. It's been there many times. So during this time, it is where the real transformation takes place. It is literally the phoenix that is burning down to ashes to come back up. What I have realized that is in this time you're supposed to just to go deeper and find qualities that make you being really unique about who you are. So aspects of yourself that nobody else is doing exactly as you do. And really be very precise. It can be something you never really believe is a skill or an attribute. Usually these are the best, the ones we cannot even perceive because they're so natural to us. We think everybody's doing it the same. Trust me, they're not. So the very first step that we recommend is actually to go and see what makes you unique. And unique is a very particular word because it means one of a kind. So what is something that if you're not doing it in this world, in that way, it doesn't happen that way. And it can be literally anything. It can be how you cook, how you sing, how you like to wake up, or how you build your business, how you grow your children, how you change the world. It can be as small or as big as it is. You don't need to make it smaller or bigger. Just allow it to be what it is. And pick it up as your new identity, meaning claim it. It is uniquely you who's doing this thing that way. We have been taught a lot to remain modest and be the good girls and the good boys. Well, that's limiting us. There is nothing wrong about knowing how you are special and bringing that to be of service to the world. Actually, it's exactly what we are supposed to do here. And the more we hide it, the more we are not fulfilling our purpose. And our generations know how that feels. It really feels very empty. And it is one of the biggest diseases of our times to not fulfill our purpose. So find what makes you unique. See that it's uniquely yours. Claim it. Understand why you're doing it. Find the root. Bring it back to the world and say, this is my way. Maybe it helps somebody else also. After you have found what is truly unique for you, start appreciating it. And the way you can appreciate that is by being able to really look into it and say, hey, we are 8 billion in this world, and it's only me who's doing this thing like that. This is pretty special. I can maybe love myself a little bit more because I am that special. I am that unique. So allow yourself to just fall in love with yourself a little bit more. It's not always easy, and it's not always easy when you have just let go the identity that you believed was the most important thing in your life. Give it a try. Give it a try because that will take you through the threshold smoother, as smooth as it can be, and with more awareness, which is always a good idea, especially in the spiritual journeys. So allow yourself to find your uniqueness, fall in love with it, and then allow yourself to feel happy for being liberated from all the labels you are letting go. So if you want to mourn them, cry for them. Say, that was incredible. I love this version of mine. And it's not here anymore, so I'm ready to let it go. Love it and let it go. And let it go so you can pick up the new one. And just allow it to disassemble itself. Free yourself from everything that is not you anymore. Free it, free it, free it, throw it away. It's done. It's a dead body on top of you. Throw this dead body, throw this old version of you, so you can be the current version, full on. Because otherwise, we are carrying all of these dead identities of ours, of how I was when I was 5 and 15 and 20, and when I got married and when I got divorced. Don't go around, keep carrying dead bodies, identities that are not yours. Throw it away, liberate yourself, get free. So then you can actually really become more of who you are, of yourself. This stage is calling you for that. I have gathered all of this knowledge into an online course, which is called Unify. Exactly because I realized that there are stages of this transformation of the identity that happens in the stage. And possibly it doesn't need to be so traumatic as it is, or as it was for some of us who started earlier this journey. So I believe we started earlier, so we are able to compile the wisdom, put it into a format that other people can perceive and understand, and pass it on. So when others are going through the stage for the first time or for the 100th time, because it's always the same thing, they can actually pick up the wisdom and say, wait, I have a guide, and I know it's not going to give me the step by step, because that's not the point, because it's my own journey. But they will at least shed some light into the aspects that I need to see. So first of all, I can see them more clearly, so I can pick up more wisdom from this stage as much as I can. And second, it might make it easier. It might make it feel better, because I know what's coming. I know how to handle it. And that usually helps. So if that's something that is of interest to you, please text me or connect with me on social media like Aelia Kos, and I'll tell you more. Ask me about the course, about self-initiation, or just text me about the course that's called Unify. It's literally the way of unifying more with your new self, or actually with your real self, and bring that to the forefront. So once you have done this process, you've gone deep, you've gone in, you've closed down. I'll actually like to share something more with you for that process, and I'll share more about my own experience. For myself, how this stage happened was the following. I had the first initiation in Argentina during the Vipassana course, as I explained and spoke to you about in the first episode. And then life moved me into a new country, into Switzerland. And the dark night of the soul, or the cave time, as I like to call it, happened while I was in Switzerland. I believe that that's no coincidence. I believe that life places us in the best places to be able to go through the processes that we need to go if we trust them enough. So for myself, that was literally the best setting that could ever happen, because I was completely alone. I was new in a new country, so literally didn't have so much of a circle to influence me. I was working from home and my work was remote. So that means that I literally had as minimum external references as possible, and that was perfect. So I was working and then I was doing my practices, and I was working and I was doing my practices, and I realized that during this period of time I didn't want to see anybody, I didn't want to hear anybody, I didn't want to go out. I needed as little interference as possible. And Switzerland was incredible for that. Not the only option, could be anywhere. Many of us decide to go more into nature, or to go to a second home, or to just literally have some more retreat space. It can be any setting that you feel that here I can let everything down so I can do my transformation, and there will be nobody who will try to influence that. So I am in Switzerland. This is happening, and it was very deep for me. It was really fast and really deep. For other people, might come more. How do we call it? Like in periods of time, or it might come as a longer period overall. For me, it was a super fast, very deep year and a half down into the shadows and the darkness, not knowing where I'm going, not having anybody to talk about it, thinking I'm going insane. And then there was one friend of mine that has undergone something different, but at least she was able to understand a little bit what was happening. And she recommended a book to me. It's very funny because back then when I picked up the book, I literally texted her, "Are you seriously recommending me self-help books?" Because it was everything I was not. It was everything I thought I will never be. How much people can change. Right now, I'm a coach and mentor for spirituality in business and in life. I'm creating my own methodologies in self-development. I am guiding others into their own transformation. And back then, I was like, self-help book? Seriously? It was actually one of the incredible books of Dr. Dispenza. And it was the one that explains you very well how our brain operates. I think it's called How to Change the Habit of Being Yourself. And I'm reading the book and I'm realizing, first of all, I'm not crazy. Second, the human brain in all of us works somehow similar. It's not so unpredictable. And third, I can work with it. And I can work with it to get me out of the stage. And that was it. That was the beginning of, after the big drop, to go a little bit up and start realizing that, okay, that's a journey. And the fastest I allow myself to drop, the fastest I will go up. An interesting correlation that happened during this time is that I realized that it's exactly the same with depression. In depression, oftentimes, we are struggling to not allow ourselves to go very deep into the depressive crisis because we fear that we will never get out of there. But what literally happens is as if you are going into a hole made in the ground. Like you imagine here's the ground, mountains, and then there's a very deep hole. And you're just falling. Whoop. But instead of falling straight into the bottom, bouncing and going back up, what you do is like you are on the walls of the cave or like the hole, like scratching your nails down, saying, "No, don't let me, don't let me, don't let me, don't let me, don't let me." And it takes first of all, it takes longer. And second of all, you never really get the actual breakthrough because the actual breakthrough doesn't happen on the way down, it happens in the bottom. And the moment you get the breakthrough, the same moment you're out. But we don't realize that when we're falling down. We think we're just going to be falling forever, going to fall into the void, into the nothingness, and we're going to disappear and die. It's not like that. You don't fall into the nothingness, into the void, you disappear and die. So relax. You're falling to hit the bottom, get your breakthrough, whatever that is for this particular period of time, and bounce back up. And literally, it's exactly the same that happens in depression. So if you are experiencing depression, Allow yourself to know that there is treasure in this darkness. And the fastest I find the treasure, the fastest I will be out of it. It is the best way to deal with what we call depression, and it's the best way to deal with the dark night of the soul or cave time. Feels like down there in the deep, there is a message, there is a realization, there is a memory, there's an understanding, there is something about you that can only be found down there. And you need to be brave enough to be able to find it so you can pick it up and go back to the world with a new treasure in your hands. If you keep fighting it, you will just never go down there, you will never pick up the treasure, and you will come back either the same or a little bit poorer because you have also undergone quite an intense period of time. So trust it and allow the cave time to be one of the greatest periods. If you are in the stage and you have the capacity and you have the mindset, you can even design a very beautiful experience for you to be able to go down there. I have met people who literally created their own black, soundless cave to spend this time of their life. Some of them spent a couple of years inside these caves, man-made caves, in their luxurious apartments in Miami, doing their inner work. There's one secret. The more powerful you are, and the more you're supposed to create in this world, the deeper, more intense, and possibly longer the cave time will be. I know. That's how it goes. You cannot expect to be given great power and great wealth without being able to build a character that can hold all of that. So, it is the price we pay for wanting to create beautiful things in this world, for wanting to be more powerful, for wanting to move more wealth. It is the price we pay. It is what it is, just take it or leave it. I don't believe that the solution is to say, okay, I better just stay small. So I have easier cave times, smaller life, and I'm going to be fine. You're not. First of all, even if life never kicks your ass to actually go in such a depth, which is very possible that it will happen, it happens time and again. But let's say that for once, Spirit says, okay, and this one can choose and I'm not going to push them. Very rare. It's very often that you will end up with a life that is actually disappointing. And you will end up finishing your life and say, I wasted that. And I believe that's one of the worst states that can happen in the end of your life. That's not a feeling that we want, that I wasted my life. I could have been so much more, and I didn't. So, pick up the whole package. With more power comes a deeper cave time. It is what it is. Just go and do it. Do your thing. Because the thing is that this treasure that is found down there in the darkness, it is part of your power. And you will be tested to be able to pick it up. And this cave time is literally the test. So if you want to make a glorified test and create your own environment and make it literally feel as if that is the best setting I can create for myself, so I can crumble down completely with all of my allowance and my permission, do it. But also, if you're in the simplest environment and just being able to be in nature or being able to have moments for you, it will still happen. This period, which I really love to talk about, is one of the most misunderstood, because in the modern day spirituality, there's a lot about the love and light. So if life is a whole spectrum, right? We have kind of cut life into the only into the love and light. So we're like, this is what we want. We don't want the whole rest of it. Thank you so much. That's it. What we haven't realized is that this is actually half life. And what we truly want is a full life experience. That's not straight. So allow yourself to have the full spectrum of life experience, because that's the only thing that actually makes us satisfied. If you want to cut it and have only one of the parts, it will always feel like half. And also, let's start dissolving the idea of that this is good and this is bad. Who said? Who said this experience is good and this experience is bad? It is our cultural references, right? It's the cultural references that make one experience be good and another experience be bad. Let's break that down. We are here to create a new narrative. And in this new narrative, it's not about being good or bad. It's about being aligned with your purpose and being fully who you are. And we are all of it. We might not want to believe it, but we are all of it. I feel like sharing that right now with you. One of the biggest realizations in my own journey was that both the good and the bad in this world are actually working for the evolution of humanity. It might not look like that, but the results that it brings does work for us to get better, to evolve. There is no other way. We're constantly moving towards a new future. Even our universe is moving all together. There is no other way. Nothing is really going back. That's not possible. It might look as if it might look like something we have experienced in the past, but it has nothing to do. It is actually helping the future. It just looks like something in the past, but it is pushing us forward. Because if sometimes even going back and saying, okay, wait, I've been through that and I'm going to take a different decision, that's going to move you into the future. So allow yourself to drop first this layer. What is good, what is bad, what you're supposed to be, what you're not supposed to be, what the others are supposed to be, what's supposed to happen, what should, what shouldn't. Life doesn't owe us anything. It doesn't owe us an incredible experience, but we can as well have it. It doesn't owe us any learnings, but we might as well create them. It doesn't owe us any bad experiences, but we might as well also have them. Because our soul wants to experience everything, all of it. Because if it doesn't experience all of it in real life, guess what? It starts pushing it into the subconscious, and the subconscious starts bringing it into our lives so we can experience it. So instead of us going and doing it straight and say, well, I want to experience the whole spectrum of life, so let me just go and experience everything. We just cut off and say, no, that's bad. I don't want to do it. I'm a good girl. I'm a good boy. So that's not me. And never. How could you even imagine? And then it's all pushed down in the subconscious. And then we keep up creating the same situations for ourselves. to experience it in a behind the back way. So let's just remove the drama and let's just remove all of that and say, okay, bring it on. I'm here for everything, and I'm gonna both enjoy and deal with everything simultaneously. Side note, when you go into that, life will start bringing everything. But I will leave that for our third episode, or for the third episode, because that's a whole chapter of what actually happens when you say, bring it on. Because life is like, the person is ready. Let's just bring it on. Poof, right? But let's not go there because we're still in that stage, the cave. Allow the cave to be one of the beautiful stages. For me, by now, I just love so much these stages that the moment I know I'm going inside there, I'm like, ciao world, thank you so much. You're not gonna listen from me. You're not gonna hear from me. I'm not gonna be here closing everything. Don't call me. Don't be in touch. I'm out. And what usually happens is that somehow people get the message. So nobody tries to change my quiet time. Oftentimes up on my mountain or in a natural setting. I'm like, okay, let's just go. And I literally just close my eyes, close my nose, metaphorically, and dive into the depth. And say, okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of these things have been picked up the last period of time since the last cave time. Okay, let's put it down. Tick. This, yes, this, no, this, yes, this, no, this, yes, this, no. And like a separation, all of a sudden space is created because it feels like as if you have a wardrobe that's packed with everything. And you're like, I want new things to happen. I want new books, new chapters to come in here. And the universe is like, hello, your wardrobe is just packed. Where I'm gonna put the new chapters, I'm sorry. You have to make some space. So you go and you say, like, okay, this is out, and this is out, and this is out, and this is out, and this is out. And the more you let go, the more there is space. And the universe is like, oh, okay. And now you have space. And I have also heard your wishes, because don't think just because you haven't been wished in a very particular way, I don't hear them. I hear them anyway. I know your deepest desires, and now we have space, so let me fulfill those for you. And that starts happening in the third stage, which we will go into next Thursday in our next episode. And the third stage is when you come out from the cave time, and the world starts calling you in all of these completely new environments, people, professions, like all the newness comes up because you have created the space, and the universe comes back to fill it up with something that's way more aligned from what you were doing before. But you need to create the space. You need to throw out things that are not you. It's the only way. So this has been the cave time stage. If you have been through it, if you are going through it, or if you know somebody who's going through it, please like and share this video and send it to them. Sometimes when we are in this stage, it's literally life-saving to hear somebody saying us what I have told you today. It talks straight to our heart, and it gives us strength to do it right and to get all the nectar out of it. If you have gone through it before and you're having new awareness right now, know that that will happen again. If you have gone through it and you have a glorified version of your cave time, please comment that. I love hearing about versions of how we do all of these stages, each one of us differently, because you will be called to actually concretize it in words, which will be extremely important for your soul and your life journey. Sending it to me or posting it in a comment will automatically allow me to see it like, oh my God, that's how somebody else is experiencing it. And it will start giving me even more inspiration of what is possible for other people. And if somebody else sees it, so a third person, fourth person sees it on the comments, they might say, oh my God, I love that. Let me actually just go and do that. Or, whoa, that's how it is. And I believe that when we get into these links, it's when we start going exponential. And going exponential in human consciousness is actually our only way through right now. So you will say, why this whole new narrative? Why even caring about creating a new version of a human that is both wealthy and spiritual and cares for the world and has an extraordinary life? Why do all of that? It is our only chance to transcend, and it is possible. But it comes from a whole different set of behaviors. And one of those is coming out and sharing these stories openly in one of the most transformative tools we have in our hands, which is called social media, that we haven't realized the power of it. And it is here, it's connecting us in a different way if we use it correctly. It is putting ourselves out there, as I am doing in this show, and sometimes better, sometimes less, because we're all humans. And this is very challenging. And it's also very rewarding. So putting ourselves out there, it's extremely important because then others can see us, and inside of us, they can see themselves. So this show, and pretty much everything I create, holds the same dynamics. Be here, fully present, be fully yourself every time you become more and more yourself. As you do that, allow the others to see you, because the moment more people see you in that state, the more you see yourself back and you start getting activated by your own energy. And this is the greatest state of a human being. It's full on activation. So we do that in our experiences, we do that in our club, I do that in my coaching. They all have the same core, because this spark, this activation, it's the starting point for the deepest transformation you could ever imagine. And though it is always powerful doing it in small circles, and there is a reason we're doing the experiences with a maximum of 12 people, where I'm doing the private mentorship only one-on-one, because there is a extreme depth you can go with one person. This show is being created because I get the sense that we are ready to start going exponentially in bigger numbers. I don't know in the hands of who this show will land. That's the point of social media. I might have never met you. You might have never met me. You might have never heard about spirituality before, or awakening, or anything at all what I'm talking about, or you might be a master in them. In both ways, if I have spoken to you in any way, please comment, share, forward it, subscribe, and let's allow this powerful tool of social media to just become the tool that we use to become exponential in our human consciousness. If you do want to be part of any of my spaces, I'm available on Instagram, and LinkedIn, and Facebook, even though I don't use it so much, as Aelia Kos. Aeliakos. Just text me or comment under this video and let me know if you would like to know more details, if you would like to be part of our private club, if you would like to be part of the experiences, if you have been wanting to have a coach and a mentor that actually connects wealth and spirit into one streamlined experience, because I love doing that. And that's the reason I am here. Everything I'm telling you in these live streams, it's my own experience. And this experience is exactly what made me transform so much and what made me able to work with people to allow them to completely move to a different level. And this can be also you. If it is the right time or when is the right time, you will know. I trust you. Thank you so much for being with me today. The third episode is going to be next Thursday at the same time, 7 p.m. Central European Time. It will be about the time you start getting out of the cave time. And when the universe starts delivering goodness and blessings to you. So, hope to see you live or hope that you catch the recording. Looking forward for your comments, your shares, your DMs, your everything. I'm here. Thank you so much.